Marvel stuff. The Marvels is breaking the Marvels is making or break for the Marvel Universe Brie Larson drama. See what Warsu has to say about this and check this out.
In today's video, we're going to talk about Marvel's next movie, which is The Marvels, aka Captain Marvel 2, and why it's almost destined to flop, destined to fail. And it's not necessarily the movie's fault, it's just there's a lot of external and internal things going on, which could lead to the demise of the Marvels, even though the previous Marvel movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, did pretty well. So, yo, who it is, freaking good YouTube? Wish you here. If you're a new around, make sure to never miss any of the Kaiju, Monsterverse, Marvel, DC, pop culture based content that I try to deliver on a daily basis. If you could, subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know down below. Are you looking forward to seeing the Marvels or are you not? So, also if you could, check us out on Twitter or x.com, WarStewG. Someone stole my handle at WarStew. Been trying to get it back for years. Still can't get it back. And also check us out on Instagram at WarStew to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice. Right, let's break it down. So, despite the fact Captain Marvel 1 grossed over $1 billion, it appears to be quite low in terms of people's rankings when it comes to Marvel movies. So the Captain Marvel movie came out in between Infinity War and Endgame. And Kevin Feige misled the audience into thinking you had to watch it to understand Endgame, which is one of the biggest movies of all time. But you didn't actually have to watch it at all. So it's almost like Kevin Feige and Marvel has lost the audience trust ever since Tony Stark, Iron Man, said, I am Iron Man. So we're currently in a weird state when it comes to movies releasing, although not really, depends on the whole context. So people be like, yo, the actors can't advertise the movies, thus for they're not going to do very well. Cool story, bro. So the Barbie movie came out and they got to do the UK premiere literally the day before the actors strike started. And the same with Oppenheimer, the premiere in UK was the day after. The actors literally have to leave the red carpet event in the UK. But both them movies did very well. Barbie, biggest movie this year, over $1 billion. Oppenheimer, although it's a documentary, over $900 million and may bang $1 billion. So I don't think it holds any merit when people say the Marvels will flop because Samuel L. Jackson, because Brie Larson, etc. can't advertise the movie. That's neither here or there. The biggest problem with this movie is it's a Marvel movie. And as much as I like Marvel, they've had a big issue since Endgame with box office numbers because of how much it costs to make a Marvel movie. And that's before you factor in marketing, which a lot of these articles that come out that make out movies actually made money are very misleading. So to put it into perspective, the Marvels movie, there's a report coming out saying it cost $130 million. I knew that was a lie instantly because the first movie budget was higher than that and it banged $1 billion in terms of growth. So the Marvels movie has a budget, so it cost $274 million. Okay? To put that in perspective, that is only just a little bit less than Avengers Infinity War, and Endgame cost $400 million to make. And also, to put it in perspective, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 cost $250 million, Thor Love and Thunder cost $250 million, and Captain America Civil War cost $250 million. And them three movies turned over a lot of money, like Thor Love and Thunder turned over a lot of money, and so did Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which was the most recent movie to come out in terms of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that Guardians movie turned over globally $845 million and actually made a profit. But the problem is when it comes to all these numbers being redacted to people is you've got to understand that the theatre, or cinemas as we call them in the UK, take between 35 to 50%. So on average, they take 50%. So the movie has to turn over, in terms of the box office, the budget, which is $264 million, times two, right? Because they take half the money. So It's got to turn over close to $600 million, right? Just under $600 million. But then you get the marketing budget, which for a Marvel movie is generally $100 to $200 million. So the biggest factor is the Marvel's movie has to turn over $600 to $700 million just in order to break even. And that's the biggest issue with superhero movies is they don't have serious tones. And the other big issue is the budgets are so high that unless the movie goes close to $1 billion, it doesn't really make a substantial amount of money. So there's an article here. It basically says what I've just said. The Marvels will likely have to be close to $600 million to break even, but these budgets never include the marketing budget, which is normally at least $100 to $200 million. At the moment, the strikes are still going on. Yeah, sure, in the last 24 hours, it looks like the WGA, which is the Writers Guild, have struck a deal, but it has to be approved on Tuesday, and they vote for if the deal gets accepted. But that's not going to do anything because that's the writers, right? Then you got the actors' strike. So I do think if there was a press tour with Brie Larson and co, then maybe it could help the movie. But I think a lot of people are deluded when they think the red carpets help the movie. No, sure, getting cast interviews help the movie, but the red carpet events don't really do anything. Just look at the Flash movie, etc. I mean, The Nun 2 turned over $200 million with a budget of $35 million. So if you go to how much the movie cost, how much it made, The Nun 2 made more money than the Flash movie, and there's literally no big actors in it. But we have some hope for the Marvels because Dune 2, starring Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya, has now been delayed till next year, which is a bad mistake, but that means the Marvels now gets a clean run, no competition at the IMAX. And when your movies are played in IMAX, you make more money. So all hope is not lost. Because like I say, it is kind of make or break for the MCU because Ant-Man 3 lost, well, I guess it kind of lost money. It didn't make any money, but it sure as hell lost money. So that had a budget of $200 million-ish, according to the numbers.com. And it turned over, in terms of the box office, $463 million, and marketing was $100 to $200 million, so it basically lost money. And that was the last Marvel movie before that. And then you look at the other movies that did pretty well, but the problem is they cost a lot of money. Like Wakanda Forever turned over $850, but it also cost $250. The same with Thor: Love and Thunder, cost $250, turned over $700. Realistically, the only Marvel movie that has banged big in the most recent years was Doctor Strange 2, which grossed just under $1 billion, $950. And Spider-Man No Way Home, which did just under $2 billion. But you've got to understand, Sony Pictures would have taken most of that money. They have an arrangement where Marvel puts up 25%, Sony 75%. So realistically, Marvel wouldn't have seen much of that except for merchandise sales. So the biggest issue Marvel have is get the budgets as low as freaking possible, because then you make money. Like Spider-Man Across the Spideyverse, right? Okay, it's a Sony movie. Budget, $100 million. Marketing for an animated movie would be way less. Somewhere to 50 to maybe $70 million budget. Marketing tops. That turned over $686 million. So that movie made a lot of money. But it's an animated movie. But you see my point? When you spend less on the movie, you can make a lot more money back. And this is where Marvel really needs to start doing this, because they're not really making much money. Sure, making $50 million is cool, but they could be making a hell of a lot more if they just stop using green screen, use sound stages, do things more practically. I get it, we're in a multiversal saga, but are we? I don't really know. Didn't really feel like that. And that's part of the reason why Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 did so well. There was lots of rumours of characters being killed off. It was the end of the era for the Guardians. It had no repercussions for the multiverse. And the actors are really well liked, pretty much. So I do feel like the Marvel's movies is going to be pinnacle for the future of the MCU. We have done a video recently, I will link it right now, and also at the end of the video, where we run over the whole plot leak. And in terms of development for the whole incursions, for the whole multiverse story, and for where Marvel's pushing forward, the Marvels is one of the most important Marvel movies they've ever released. But because of how much the movie costs to make, etc., it's going to be really hard for this movie to make money. And then you factor in the Brie Larson factor. I think Brie Larson's cool. I think she's a great actor, but a lot of people hate her kind of opinions and how outspoken she is in real life. So Marvel really needs the Marvels to save the MCU. But it's hard because people don't like Brie Larson, and then you bring in the other actors. Miss Marvel TV show did very bad. They even released it on an American TV channel. It did really bad. I don't really know how well this movie can do. So let's see what the power of the MCU is, because everyone loves Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd, the star of Ant-Man. And that movie flopped as well. And that was supposed to be the big setup for Kang the Conqueror and to set up Kang's dynasty and essentially lead to Secret Wars. Secret Invasion was also a flop that had Samuel L. Jackson, which is one of the big stars in the Marvels. Is the Marvel brand dead? We don't know. And review bombing will also come into play. Why? Because every movie Brie Larson is automatically gets review bombed. People hate Brie Larson. So if this movie can even break even, which will be around the $600 to $700 million, that would be an absolute win. But from a narrative standpoint, this movie seems pretty badass. They've trimmed it all down, so it's one of the shortest Marvel movies ever. But from a storytelling point of view and getting these freaking incursions to happen, I think this movie will do quite well. We've got a new villain, the Ben is in it. It sounds like a pretty cool cosmic movie. So like always, guys, let us know, are you hyped for the Marvels movie or do you not care? Did Marvel die with Endgame like a lot of people seem to think? Because outside Doctor Strange 2 and realistically Spider-Man No Way Home, Marvel's been dead since 2019. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at WatchUG. And a beautiful face behind a beautiful voice, check us out on Twitter, WatchUG. And I'll catch you in another video very soon. Catch you later.
Subscribe, like this video. Have a great day, and see you guys. Bye.